Hello folks, I'm back again with another battle report. This time I'm going to try out my Rohan, and they're pretending to be some Anglo-Saxons, and up against some Normans. This will be a 4-point battle report, Clash of Warlord style. I just thought I'd try out my Rohan as Anglo-Saxons, because I wanted to see how balanced everything is at 4 points. I mean, if I get these guys painted, I might be tempted to use them at our little 4-point get-together that we've got going. But I thought this is a chance to try them out and see what they can do. So for the lists we are looking at, we'll start with the Normans. The Normans have 4 Hearthguard that are mounted. We have 8 warriors that are mounted and with javelins, and then 2 lots of 2 levy with bows. So nice to see the levy being used here. Obviously they might pay off now in the newer set of rules. And on the Anglo-Saxon side, of course, as you can imagine, it is levy, 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 really. Levy, 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 levy. Yeah, that's 4 levies. And one of them is with bows. So we start up, as you can see here. We were supposed to set up using the rules which stated everyone should stay M away from a unit you've already deployed. But funny enough, we both forgot. And that's entirely my fault, because I think I was the first person to deploy, and I went for my natural keep them clumped together idea. So my opponent did the same, and only after the actual game itself did we realise that this is not how we're supposed to set up. So we'll just have a quick look at the units. So the return of the levy, we have 2 levy with the Normans, both with bow. The miniatures themselves, these are Perry miniatures. I think this is a 100-year war range plastics. And same down here, this is all Perrys as well. So we have the 8 warriors with javelins, and then behind them we've got the 4 Hearthguard and a warlord as well. So on my side, down on the right hand side there, I have my 12 bow and 12 levy. Behind them I have my warlord, Aomer. And on the left hand side I have 2 units of levy with normal equipment. I was quite happy with this here. I was going to use one as a screen so the other one can get to the bowman and try and take him out. Thought that might be quite appropriate. So I took first turn, and I didn't do very much outside my standard manoeuvres. This is mainly due to the 3 dice I've got. I put on defensive abilities just to give myself some protection against any shooting, because I'm sure there was going to be a little bit of it. So lo and behold, on my opponent's turn, he charges up here with his javelin cav and manages to take off one of my levy. And fires again to take a fatigue and knocks off 2 of my levy. He's just trying to reduce one of my units down to 5 men left, so they no longer generate any saga dice, which is a good call. The only thing he made a mistake of, obviously not one for using the old cav trick charge. Back from my Breton days, is trying not to get any fatigue on them, because he's only got 1 ability which allows him to move away in his opponent's turn. Unfortunately now he's got that fatigue on it. I can spend that to drop him to 4-inch move, I believe, so he's not going to get out of range of my bows. So that's all my opponent does, and just reforms on the top side, as you can see. So yes, in my turn I activate my levy with bows. He uses his whichever it was, it could be a maneuver, is it called? Basically brings his cavalry, as the cavalry to move. I spent his fatigue to drop his cavalry down to a 4-inch move, so he couldn't get away from my bow. Managed to do a couple of casualties. So this game I'm going to be throwing some epic dice. The unit of light cav that I just shot at and caused 2 casualties on. I then charged my levy with hand weapons and shields. Thus I managed to use my abilities, got them up to the full nice 12 attacks, and hitting them on 4s, and out of 12 attacks I got 1 hit. Yeah, I was really hoping this should have been the turn I wiped out a saga dice for my opponent. But somehow, out of 12 dice I managed to get 1 hit on 4s. I'm hitting him on 4s because he raised his armour again while spending my fatigue. So yes, I went in here hoping with all hope to wipe these guys out, or at least do enough damage to reduce them to 3 models so they don't get any saga dice from them. Yeah, unfortunately I managed to kill 1 with my 12 attacks. On average that's what, 6 hits and 2 are saved by his thing, so I should have killed 4. 4, I got 1, and he then killed 3 of me. What a charge. Now, this is the end of my turn. As you can see, I've pushed up one of my units there to start threatening his shooting. And later on, when I discuss things that went wrong in this game, that dice roll was one of them, and the other one's what I didn't do with my levy on the left there. That's up against his archers, but I'll explain that later. So my levy got taught a lesson of what point blank means, and was promptly fired upon by his 2 levy units. His Hearthguard then charges in, and with a little help from my defense abilities I had, give me some extra defense dice and extra armor. I think the other one's extra armor. I managed to kill one of his. Oh, I went defensive as well. That's why I didn't have any attacks on him. So I managed to kill one of his, and he killed one of mine. And then his Warlord came in, and I had no abilities left on my board, and showed his Hearthguard of what they should be doing, and managed to kill all but one. On the right hand side, he then throws his javelin armed light cav into my levy. It's a good call, you know. He still had 5 men left with 5 attacks, and with the +1 now to hit on the way in. He was wounding me on 3s, and I probably had a fatigue on me from the combat previously. He probably rested, so he probably dropped me down to 2s or raised his up so no damage can go through. So that's the second round of combat, and I still haven't stopped him having that Saga dice. But on the upside, I still have 7 men left, and I still generate a Saga dice too. So it looks like this. It's not how I planned it, you know. I'm definitely I'm the Saga dice down now. I've got my unit here on the right hand side, which is 2 men away from being reduced by the Saga dice. Well, I suppose on the upside, he's got a little 3-man unit there of Hearthguard, which I could probably get rid of if I can get my 12-man unit across. I've got bowmen that could shoot off the at least one of the warriors here nearby, and that'll drop him a Saga dice as well, and hopefully give me a bit more control back on the game. So with that in mind, I do an almighty 1 wound and actually drop my opponent 1 Saga dice by causing the casualty that I require. That little unit of Hearthguard I went in against with my Warlord. 8 attacks. I got a bonus 1 from an ability. Here we go, just needing 5s with 8 attacks. Yep, I got 1. So as you can see in the middle there, I managed to get off one of the Hearthguard, and that was it. Yes, it wasn't so action-packed as I really hoped it to be. I'm still struggling. I really need to drop him a couple of Saga dice, or yeah, I'm in deep water. So after shooting the hell out of my champion, or my Warlord, managed to max him out on fatigue. He then went in with his Warlord. And to be fair, this was my opponent's roll, and only managed to get 1 hit on my Warlord. But unfortunately, I was fatigued. So unfortunately, I couldn't save anything with resilience. So AMR went down, so that's another loss of Saga dice to me. But as you can see, my opponent, he's now got an exhausted Warlord as well. Fantastic. I now have a way of dropping a Saga dice generally easily, because I only have to cause 1 wound to him. Just bear it in mind, 1 wound. So things are looking similar like this, and still got 3 Saga dice for my next round, so it's not totally impossible. I think I was hoping for a couple of 6s, and towards the end I don't think I was rolling any, which made it far more difficult, and since my unit sizes were dropping as well, it was also harder to command my troops. So I chucked my small unit in, 7-man unit against his cav, and again, I don't entirely wipe them out, and this will come back to shoot me in the behind. But I did manage to kill 2 of them and drive them back with only loss of 1, so I've now got a 6-man unit. So my levy is still generating Saga dice for me, which is excellent. But more importantly, I moved them out the way so I can get my archers to have line of sight to other tasty targets. So in the end, I decided to shoot the Hearthguard from in behind the Warlord, mainly because he would have passed the wounds on to them anyway, so there's no loss in losing them, and by taking them out, I'd also be putting a fatigue on the levy beside them as well. The levy unit you can see right at the top and in the centre is the one I sent against his bloody Warlord, who, by the way, was exhausted, and so would hit me on 5 standard. I had a fatigue on me going in, and I think I spent, I don't know, he might have spent a fatigue to raise his armour, I spent a fatigue to lower it, so I'll be hitting on 5s again. And anyway, by the end of all, yes, he's still alive. No, it's not my day for rolling dice, I have to say. So now, standing shot and looking at the immortal warlord they're up against, they are now going to get shot to bits, thanks to the levy archers. So after resting up his warlord, he then charges him across the battlefield and takes on my little 6-man unit and gives him a good whopping. Therefore, dropping me another Saga dice. And again, he's exhausted, so there's a really good chance I can take him out. And to be honest, even though he has killed a lot of me, I am only levy, so there probably ain't a huge difference in points at the moment, but to make sure he doesn't absolutely stomp me, I want to get rid of his warlord. So I wanted a better line of sight to his warlord so my archer could see. Some of them could see where they were, but I would like the more shots, so I chuck in my little chap all by himself. This is where the levy is the best, because he now has 1 direct attack against 1 attack. He had fatigue on him. He's got 1 less armour in combat because he's a javelin. So I'll be hitting him on 3s, 2s. Okay? Hitting him on 2s. I manage a hit, and he hits me too. Oh, come on! Yes, as you can imagine, he actually saved his wound. Unfortunately, my levy didn't, so I didn't clear the line of sight. So I think only a handful of my archers can now see his warlord, which was really irritating because I really need him to go now. I only need to cause 1 wound on him. So we go back to the opponent's turn. He rests his warlord, and what else have we got here? I think at the top, oh yeah, he does more shooting because he's got more fatigue on his levy. I'm down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just about keeping my 2 Saga points at the moment. So in my turn, my levy archers fire. I could only get 4 shots out of the unit because some of them were obscured by his horsemen there in the way. But hitting on 4s, got all 4 shots. 4 out of 4. He needs to save. He'd rested, so I need to cause 2 wounds. On average, it's a save of 50-50, so I should get 2 wounds through. And oh yes, he saved it. Which means his warlord is back to being exhausted, so I only need to cause 1 wound on him. But I didn't have enough dice to be able to shoot him again, because I think I might have had to move my unit to get the better shot. Oh. So yes, he remains there, exhausted yet again, mocking me. Oh, that's right, I couldn't shoot twice because of my unit size. Because their unit size was, what have you got there, 9 men. So it's not the 10 men unit, it's the second one, so it needed the common dice? Whatever it was, I didn't have the damn dice for it, which means I had to do a small unit and a large unit. Which meant I activated the guys at the top there. They just went in to try and cause some havoc and push back some of these archers. They went in, lost no wounds, which is fantastic. And only managed to kill 1 of them, which wasn't so good. But would put a fatigue on them. Yes, and then that horseman, which I'd failed to kill earlier, of the horseman that took forever to kill, comes over here with 1 javelin shot and kills off 1 of my guys. Oh! So yeah, these are down to 5 now, so they no longer generate any Saga, so I'm only generating 1 Saga dice. So with that, as you can see, he's moved his warlord and his cavalryman in behind the hill, so I can't get the points for them. I'm generating 1 dice, so there's no way for me to get to him. Excuse me, even if I can move twice with the combat unit in the centre. Unfortunately, that was it. So, shook hands for a very good game. Yeah, the dice. It was rough. So, what went wrong in that game? Other than my dice, which were pretty appalling, I did mention to you that I made a faux pas back along with the unit in the centre off against the archers. Now, what I had in my mind was to do a 2-pronged attack. Now, my 1 attack would have wiped out his cavalry, or at least got rid of the Saga dice, while I started pushing on his archers on the top. Now, being greedy, I completely messed this up by 1 dice, and I only realised it after I'd used one of my abilities in combat that I had no other dice left to activate the unit. So, are the Anglo-Saxons balanced at 4 points? I think so. I think this was a hard army to have a go against, because I was going to get shot to bits on the way in. If I pushed hard enough on one flank, I think I would have done alright. As I said, getting rid of the Saga dice early on would have really helped. That would have made a huge difference. And his Warlord dodging the bullet, or the arrow in this case, throughout the game did him quite well. So it was partly my fault. I planned more and did less than I should have. But other than that, it's a dice game, and it's why we do it, isn't it? Not everything goes to plan. But it was a good game. Will I be using the Anglo-Saxons? I don't know. I've still got so many Rohan to paint as such. I don't know if I'd bother using them for the tournament itself. I'm still tempted to use my Welsh. I know there's another Welsh guy taking the Welsh there, but I'm enjoying getting used to their battle board, and it's something different I hadn't used before. There's going to be a couple of Normans there. I know there's going to be an Anglo-Saxon there. The Irish will be there, and I don't think any other more bizarre things are coming out. So hopefully that'll be it, and I'll see you next time. Farewell us. Take care.